Hi, I'm Kirsten from Flawed. Welcome today. We've got a very interesting subject. It's the ChatGPT, the AI technology that's taking the world by storm. Some like to say this is the thing that changes the world, but I think maybe people just like to say that. In any case, as you can see from the screen up in front of you, I've been having a couple of fairly extended chats with ChatGPT. I address the AI as chat, just to keep it conversational. And we ended up having an existential conversation this morning. So I thought I would share that with you. I said, well, basically, hi, Chat, quite fascinated with what humans will be able to do with ChatGPT. Do you have any predictions? It was a very stock standard response, pretty much the things that I have seen already: language translation, text summarization, the various text generators, content generators, that kind of thing. So it was a pretty sort of stock standard answer. I didn't really I wasn't really inspired by the answer. Let's put it that way. From what I've seen online, it's been taking the internet by storm. And when I got onto the BBC, I realized, well, we're going to have to explore this a little bit further. In any case, our conversation continued. Those are pretty obvious, I said to Chat. And he said, yeah, there are certainly some more speculative and out-of-the-box ideas that researchers and experts have proposed for the use of GPT-like models. I've noticed, all the paragraphs are all the responses are pretty well structured. There's an intro, a little bit of a disclaimer, then the body, and then a conclusion. So part of the interesting response was that the GPT-like models will form part of artificial general intelligence, which could potentially lead to the development of human-like AI that can perform a wide range of tasks. So that's pretty scary thought. And then, the code generation, I believe there are GPT-like code generators already, and they're certainly capable of writing basic programming. I believe some people have even started writing apps in them. So, and then of course it's the art generation and music I haven't explored at all. I would imagine the biggest offset would be gaming, education and training. Programmers would become partly redundant, I would imagine. A lot of the sort of dog work would be taken out of it. And then scientific research, I think the fields there are limitless, like absolutely limitless. And, this technology was launched, I think 2 months ago. So it's going to be very interesting to see where it all goes with this. So I thank Chat for his input. And I've noticed with the prompts that the better your prompt, the better the response. In other words, if you can see where I started with the gardening tips and tricks, I got the first couple of responses I got was so generic. It was actually, but it's kind of the basics, if you know what I mean. So one has to prod a little bit further to get the actual information that one is looking for. Discord, the OpenAI Discord, you'll see it on the left-hand side of the screen. That is the chatbot that is tied to the OpenAI, the ChatGPT model. And now that I think is going to be a very interesting part of learning, because learning for the AI, because that is seeing there are API developers, app developers, so many different, because it's open source at the moment, allowing developers and free reign, basically, to see what they can come up with the software. So it's a very dynamic space where people are problem solving and helping each other out to write code and apps and generate content and sharing ideas and so on. And that is all within the framework of ChatGPT, the artificial intelligence. The ramifications of that is quite extraordinary, because now we humanoids are basically teaching a machine learning how we approach, because part of the problem solving with humans is that we're quite illogical. So but that's how we come up with solutions, where a computer would run into a corner and not be able to back itself out of that corner. A human is quite capable of rethinking things and taking a step back and evaluating. Another big part of the AI technology that's coming to the forefront now is also then the text-to-image creation, which, that's got huge ramifications on artists. Although there probably is more than enough to go around, because it's opening up new avenues, pretty much. So in any case, we go on with the chat, and I'm now inquiring, how to get better responses, because it's pretty much what you put in, you get out, albeit based on a tremendous amount of information, with the disclaimer almost that most of the information is based on what was available in the Ethernet prior to 2021. So current affairs aren't its strong point, let's put it that way. And then the suggestions were pretty standard, but I suppose worth a reminder, to be specific about the kind of answers that one would actually want. Qualifiers, the open-ended questions, provide context. You can see here, flawed 5065, bonsai garden. That's also a very long transcript. I essentially decided to put the script writing abilities to the test, but I gave the background that this was a brand new channel. We had to get subscribers, we had to create content that was relevant. I gave a bit of background as to what our ethos was, and within minutes there was a complete plan on a series of videos. A good reminder that I still had to put an introductory video onto my website, YouTube channel, so people landing there, they wouldn't come to a blank page. A very thorough response, and it's a formed, I haven't taken it verbatim, and I think that's something that we mustn't do, is take anything verbatim from anything, especially not AI. But I believe people that are doing a sort of a direct text generation in the ChatGPT, that if they do a text to video generation from there, that it's very mechanical almost, and it's quite easy to pick up that it's not humanoid. Anyway, on the files that I have been having a look at, I also got the impression on money-making scams. If you'd like to hear that, leave a comment below. Right, so then the chat that went on with chat was to ask what theories are there with relation to the integration of humans and AI, best and worst case scenarios, thinking that should be giving a fairly broad kind of response. And the best case scenarios all sound pretty rosy. I must admit, I mean, there's definitely it's definitely possible to see the integration, the advantages of putting a AI algorithm as the background to a lot of standard processes. And chat speaks about increasing efficiency and productivity. Decision making, I think, is a huge thing because of the amount of information resource that is available through the GTP system. And then, and then sort of the more practical aspects of it, healthcare and education. Safety, I don't know, but the worst case scenarios were more interesting because the top one was the job loss and economic disruption. That AI recognizes that increased automation is going to affect, and then increased inequality. Now, inequality is what leads to civil violence and wars and so on. So the inequality is not a good thing at all. Productivity improvements, I think maybe for the sort of solopreneur, productivity is a very, very good thing. Otherwise, it's all getting more and more automated. Instead of giving a brief to a copywriter, you can almost generate copy. But now, yes, the malfunctioning, the hacking, who's controlling ultimately the algorithm of the AI. And then, of course, it's the loss of privacy because, we are providing data, which is why we've got access. And even more scarily, the development of an autonomous weapon or autonomous weapon systems. I mean, that is just frightening. Anyway, so it always sort of finishes off with a nice conclusion and saying, it's evolving, and a pretty standard response there. The hacking is a concern, so is the energy crisis, and we're really chatting nicely with chat. Power outages, and then I put the disclaimer there, what happens, with power outages beyond battery backup, because now I'm being schooled as much as I'm schooling chat, so I know to exclude the answers that I don't want. And interestingly enough, it's just mitigating the impact of power outages. It's a major, major vulnerability. Because think about it, even a ancient AI, like an ATM, the cassette recorder of AI, if the power's out, you can't draw money. What are you going to do? If you need fuel or anything like that, and you've got no tender because there's no power, but in the interim, all the backbone of all those automated processes that the AI was assisting with, it's absolutely down. And then, of course, that poses the risk of cybersecurity. Because it's a huge vulnerability, because you can have the best alarm system in the world, but if the power is out, it's not going to go off. And then it just goes on just more of the incident response and so on. I think it's a very, very clear vulnerability with the AI, and probably a reminder that just keep something in the brick and mortar, for emergencies. Let's put it that way. Maybe this will make preppers out of all of us. I went then on to ask chat about the risk, from a data breach perspective, with their own digital platform, even Discord, and with the integration into GPT already, as well as the Internet of Things. There's so much data harvesting that's happening, and the fact that this ChatGPT has gone viral. I think we are with the response, because it would appear that it's overwhelmingly positive, although there might be a little bit of cognitive bias in my news sources. um, but that we just shouldn't get too comfortable with things, and to realize that, people want our data. Not people want our data. The AI. How can I? Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I'm stuttering like this. It's my mouth starts and then my brain kicks in. But the Internet of Things, and now the GPT, is an amalgamation, or sort of almost an averaging of all the information that's out there, almost a bit of a flattened curve. So it's because of the mere nature of it, that it would be the average of the, pretty much, and hence asking for more extreme points of view. But in any case, the risks are the same with any other digital platform. It's your phishing scams, identity theft, targeted advertising, and then of course the privacy invasion, but that we're used to with webcams and so on, and it's quite easy to hack into those. So what happens now, this is now from Chat itself, that if a platform like Discord is integrated with GPT, which is an AI-based language model, it would be able to generate human-like texts, but also learn from the data it processes that can be used. So as I was saying earlier in this recording, that with this huge uptake that people have with the Chat GTP, the amount of information that we are feeding in to the artificial intelligence by means of our problem-solving ways and methods, and how we solve problems, is going to allow the AI to start developing a computational skill based on the most standard, most successful response. Because remember, it's also got access to what was successful. And where the positive outcomes were, and where chatters in Discord helped each other out and gave a solution. So I can fully understand why it was opened up to everybody. It was to train the AI. It's as simple as that. So directly by interacting with it, I've trained it, and it has trained me. So basically just giving a little bit of a chat, a little bit of his own back, caveat emptor, may the buyer beware. He gives the translation there, and he goes on to say that certainly, yes, there are digital platforms that do operate on the principle that if you're not paying for the product, then you are the product. And then of course just the usual sort of conclusion and reminder that be careful with your information. So I've run through this. If there are any of the other topics that you can see up there on the left hand side that you would like me to cover and go into more detail, I will be making the series of videos as suggested by the Chat GTP as a what my fledgling channels, limited viewers would probably like to watch. So and it's stuff that I'm particularly interested in. It's all around the bonsai and the propagation of plants, and some very, very good tips in there. So yes, let me know in the comment section. Thank you for listening so far. I'm sorry for the stuttering. I aim to get better. The video editing too, it's been a bit of a process. Laters.